On Instagram, my mother-in-law's latest update is a family photo of Ethan Miller with his arm around a strange woman named Olivia Davis, standing next to a 7 or 8-year-old boy, their smiles warm and dazzling. The location is the city where they are retiring. 7 years. I turned off my phone, my fingertips icy. In the living room, Ethan was chatting and laughing with his noisy relatives, celebrating Miller Corp landing another big project. This is our home, a home that he and I built from the ground up, but at this moment, it seems so unfamiliar and ironic. I walked over and interrupted their mutual admiration society. Let's get divorced, Ethan, I said, my voice so calm that even I was surprised. The living room was instantly quiet enough to hear a pin drop. The smile on Ethan's face froze, then turned to disbelief, and finally to the familiar frown and impatience. Ava, stop it. What day is it today? He's always like this. All my serious demands are dismissed as making a fuss. I'm not making a fuss. I looked into his eyes, the eyes I had been addicted to for 20 years. I'm serious. I want a divorce. The crowd was in an uproar. Ethan's face completely darkened, and he suddenly stood up, his movements with a hint of panic. Ava Williams, what the hell are you doing? He growled, trying to maintain his dignity as the head of the family. I know you've been under a lot of pressure lately, but you can't be so ridiculous. He paused, as if he had thought of a perfect reason. His tone softened a little, but it was more like a blunt knife cutting into my heart. Look at Olivia. It's not easy for her to take care of Leo alone. How can I abandon them at this time? He even tried to take my hand. I know you are kind-hearted. Don't be so willful, okay? Olivia Davis, Leo. He called out these two names so naturally. It was as if they were the intruders in my life, and I was the willful wife who needed to be appeased and persuaded. I shook off his hand and sneered. Willful? Heartless? I repeated the labels he had put on me. Ethan Miller, 20 years. Is that how you see me? My thoughts drifted uncontrollably back to the past. 20 years ago, we had nothing and were crammed into a small rented room, drawing blueprints and running after clients day and night. When we were extremely tired, he would hold me and say, Ava, when we succeed, let's have a bunch of kids and form a basketball team. Later, as the company began to take shape, we were so busy that we were like spinning tops, and the matter of having children was put off again and again. Later, he said, Ava, starting a business is too hard. I don't want our children to suffer as well. Besides, I don't want you to endure the pain and risks of childbirth. We even made a decision together, and he had a vasectomy. When both sets of parents found out, there was a huge uproar, especially his mother, who called every few days urging us to have children and calling me a barren hen. Every time, Ethan stood in front of me, firmly saying, Mom, it's me who doesn't want children. It has nothing to do with Ava. In this life, we are enough with each other. Those words are still ringing in my ears. 7 years ago, his parents suddenly figured it out and said they were going to retire in the mild climate of the South and would no longer interfere in our lives. Ethan acted extremely filial, flying over to visit every now and then. I was even touched by this, thinking he was filial and family-oriented, until today. I saw that family photo that was carefully hidden and only visible to specific friends on my mother-in-law's Instagram. The boy in the photo looked 70 or 80% like him. The posting date was shockingly 7 years ago. So, the so-called retirement care and visits were all part of a carefully planned scam. It's not that he doesn't want children. It's just that he doesn't want to have children with me. His so-called for my own good, his so-called not wanting me to suffer, were just excuses for him to feel at ease while building another family, a 7-year-long secret family. I was the fool who was kept in the dark. Ethan, I looked at him, my eyes burning, but my voice was as cold as ice. How could you be so cruel to me? His eyes flickered, and a look of guilt finally appeared on his face. Ava, I'm sorry. He took a step forward, trying to hug me, but I dodged him. Don't touch me. He froze in place, anxiously explaining, I really did it for your own good. Childbirth is too painful, your figure will be ruined, and your career will be affected. I don't want you to go through those things. What a grandiose reason. He paused, as if making up his mind, and said something even more disgusting to me. Why don't Olivia and Leo move in? We can live together and take care of each other. Leo is very well behaved. Shut up. I interrupted him sharply. Forgive the affair? Accept the mistress? And even bring them into my home to put on a show of harmony? How dare he even think of that? I laughed sarcastically. Ethan Miller, do you think I love you so much that I have no bottom line? He was choked by my reaction and was speechless. Seeing this, his relatives also made excuses to leave, and the scene was extremely awkward for a while. Ethan took a deep breath and left with his people, his face unsightly. I believed it. Before leaving, he dropped a sentence, Ava, calm down. I won't divorce you, and I won't give up Olivia and Leo. You, take your time to accept it. The door slammed shut. In the huge house, only I was left. I sat blankly on the sofa all night. As dawn broke, the morning light streamed in through the French windows. I picked up my phone and dialed the number of the company's collaborating lawyer. David, please draft a divorce agreement for me. Ethan hasn't been home for a week. He probably assumed that I was just temporarily angry and needed time to calm down. I didn't contact him again, but instead found a private detective I knew well. Soon, I received a stack of photos and several videos. Ethan, Olivia, Leo, a family of 3, playing in the park, celebrating in restaurants, playing in amusement parks. The scenes were warm and harmonious, stinging my eyes. At the same time, my mother-in-law probably felt she had it in the bag and started sharing her grandson's daily life more frequently on Instagram. Between the lines, there is admiration for Olivia and a boast about the happy 3-generation family life. I couldn't help but comment under a post, "Excuse me, who is this?" The comment was quickly deleted. Immediately afterward, my mother-in-law's voice message popped up, her tone sharp and mean. Ava Williams, what are you up to? If you hadn't egged Ethan on to get a vasectomy, I would have had a grandson long ago. You vicious woman, you can't stand to see our family doing well, can you? Listening to that voice message, I only felt it was absurd and pathetic. So, in his mother's eyes, even his vasectomy was my fault. That night, Ethan came back. He pushed open the door, saw me curled up on the sofa with red eyes, and was stunned for a moment. Immediately, he came over, reeking of alcohol, and hugged me tightly without explanation. Ava, don't cry. His voice was hoarse, with a hint of fatigue and heartache. I'm sorry, it's my fault. His embrace used to be my warmest haven. At this moment, I was a little dazed, as if I had returned to many years ago, to the days when we huddled together for warmth in a dilapidated rented house. Ethan, I leaned against him, my voice muffled. Let's move, leave here, go to a place where no one knows us, or, let's have a child of our own, okay? I raised my head and looked at him. If you wanted a child, why didn't you tell me sooner? We could have. My words stopped abruptly, because I saw 2 people standing at the door, Olivia Davis, and that boy named Leo. They came back with Ethan. This is the first time I've been face to face with Olivia Davis. She was wearing a well-fitting dress, with delicate makeup, and a gentle and skillful charm between her eyebrows and eyes. The way she looked at Ethan was full of dependence. Looking at myself again, I was wearing home clothes. My hair was messy, and my face was still covered with tears, in a disheveled state. The strong contrast was like a slap in the face, hitting me hard. Olivia's eyes were fixed on Ethan's arm around me. Her face turned pale instantly, and her eyes were red, looking like she was about to cry. Ethan immediately let go of my hand as if he had been burned. He strode to Olivia, put his arms around her, and even lowered his head to plant a comforting kiss on her forehead. It's okay, don't be afraid, he soothed softly. My heart instantly turned cold. The little bit of warmth and hesitation just now completely disappeared. Olivia snuggled in Ethan's arms, looked up at me, and then gently pushed the boy next to her. Leo, quickly, call Aunt Ava. Her voice was gentle, but with a hint of subtle provocation. The boy glanced at me timidly, then looked at Ethan, and whispered, Aunt Ava. I didn't respond, my gaze fixed on the boy. What's his name? I asked Ethan, my voice as cold as if it had been quenched in ice. Ethan's eyes darted away. Leo, full name. I stared intently at him. Ethan seemed a little flustered, but still said, Leo Miller. My heart jolted. Leo, stars. This is the name Ethan and I came up with for our first child when we were lying in our rented room, dreaming about the future. He said he wanted our child to be like a star, shining and guiding the way. Even the meaning is exactly the same. He actually used our most precious promise on his and another woman's illegitimate child. A nausea and anger that was hard to describe rushed to the top of my head. I almost screamed. Ethan Miller, how dare you? How dare you use the name we agreed upon? Ethan was taken aback by my reaction, and then angrily scolded me. Ava, keep your voice down, you're scaring the child. He hurriedly turned to Olivia again, incoherently explaining, Olivia, don't get me wrong, this name, it's just a coincidence. Olivia's face turned even paler, and tears fell like beads from a broken string. Ethan, she cried, her voice choked with sobs. I told you a long time ago that I didn't want my child to be born to make up for any regrets. I hid with Leo for 7 years, living in the shadows, because I was afraid of this. She covered her face, her shoulders trembling slightly. I thought today we could finally be together in the open. If you feel embarrassed, I'll take Leo away right now. We won't get in your way. I don't want to live under someone's gaze. Who dares to give you a hard time? Ethan interrupted her hurriedly, holding her tightly in his arms, his tone more firm and doting than ever before. Olivia, I love you, and I love Leo. He's not a regret. This home is mine, and no one can drive you away. He even gently stroked Olivia's lower abdomen. Besides, there's still one in your belly. We are a family, and we will have a good life together in the future. Pregnant again. I stood there, watching them embrace tightly, listening to Ethan's solemn promises, and felt as if an invisible hand was clutching my heart tightly, hurting so much that I was about to suffocate. I'm the one who's redundant, an eyesore, an outsider. After Olivia and her son were comforted by Ethan and temporarily sent back to their room, I expressionlessly took out the divorce agreement I had prepared long ago from the drawer and handed it to Ethan. Sign it. Ethan didn't even look at it and pushed the agreement away. Ava, stop it. He frowned, his tone tinged with impatience and fatigue. We're not getting any younger. What divorce? What will people think? What about the company? He lit a cigarette, and his face appeared somewhat blurred in the smoke. At this stage of marriage, it's no longer just about feelings. It's more about a bond of shared interests. You should understand this better than I do. A bond of shared interests. Yes, he is now the president of Miller Corp, enjoying unlimited success and prestige, but he probably forgot who accompanied him to start from scratch, who mortgaged the property my grandfather left me when the company was in its most difficult time, and who stayed up countless nights to expand the market. After the company got on the right track, he said, Ava, you're too tired, go home and rest, I've got the company. In a gentle tone, he quietly deprived me of my decision-making power in the company, turning me into a president's wife who only needed to be beautiful and adorn his facade. Our relationship probably started to drift apart around that time. We communicated less and less, and the gap between us grew wider and wider. In the end, all that was left was profit. Ethan, I said, looking at him, sign it. He impatiently stubbed out his cigarette. I said, no divorce. He stood up, walked over to me, and suddenly reached out and picked up a coat from the sofa. Change your clothes and come out with me. Where to? I'm taking you to get along with Olivia and Leo. You're going to live together in the future, so you should get to know each other. His tone was firm and left no room for argument. He even used force, insisting on putting the coat on me. I'm not going. Ethan's face completely turned cold. Ava, don't force me. He grabbed my wrist with surprising force. You have to go today. Also, don't talk nonsense in front of Olivia. I'll find a chance to explain about that name. I was shoved roughly into the car by him. The destination was a high-end family restaurant. As soon as we entered, Ethan pushed Leo in front of me. Ava, take Leo to play. Olivia and I will go buy him something. He gave Leo a loving fatherly smile. Mom and Dad will be back soon. After saying that, without waiting for me to react, he put his arm around Olivia's waist and walked away intimately, leaving me and the 7-year-old boy facing each other in silence. Leo was obviously full of hostility towards me. He crossed his arms, tilted his small face up, and said in a harsh tone that didn't match his age, I don't need you to care. This is where my mom and dad go on dates. You're an outsider. He ran to the food section, picked up a freshly fried chow covered in powdered sugar, and took a big bite. Eat slowly, be careful not to choke. I reminded him subconsciously. Mind your own business. He glared at me fiercely and stuffed another one into his mouth. Not long after, an accident happened. Leo suddenly clutched his stomach. His face turned pale, sweat broke out on his forehead, and then he vomited with a loud wah. Acute gastroenteritis. The restaurant was instantly in chaos. Ethan and Olivia came at the sound. As soon as Leo saw them, he immediately pointed at me, crying so hard he could barely breathe. It's her. She forced me to eat it. She said I would be disobedient if I didn't eat it. Wah. Olivia immediately rushed to Leo's side, looked at me with tears in her eyes, and said with a sob in her voice, Ava, I know you're feeling uncomfortable, but Leo is still a child. What did he do wrong? Why did you do this to him? I tried to explain. I didn't force him. He wanted to eat it himself, and I reminded him to slow down. Enough, Ethan roared, interrupting me. He didn't even give me a chance to explain, raising his hand and giving me a resounding slap. With a smack, my cheek burned with pain, and my ears rang. Ava Williams, I never thought you could be so vicious. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot as he pointed at my nose and scolded. What exactly did Olivia and Leo do to offend you? Why do you have to hurt an innocent child like this? I didn't. I covered my face, trying to argue. You're still trying to argue. Ethan pointed to the remaining churros on the table. Didn't you used to love eating this the most? Don't think I don't know what you're trying to do. You're just jealous. You can't stand to see us happy. Churros. I did used to like it a lot. That was when we first started our business, and we didn't have money to eat out. He would occasionally buy it back as a little surprise snack for me, but that was already 10 years ago. Because of my stomach problems, I've given up this kind of fried sweet food for a full 10 years. He doesn't even know. He looked at me with cold eyes, and said the most hurtful words, one word at a time. Ava, you are indeed not suitable to have children. This sentence was like a poisoned dagger, accurately piercing the softest part of my heart. My whole body was cold, as if I had fallen into an ice cellar. Ethan took out the divorce agreement I had given him from his bag and took out a pen from his pocket. With a few swish, swish, swish sounds, he signed his name. Then, he threw the agreement hard in my face. Divorce. Let's divorce now, he panted, like a furious lion. When you adjust your mindset and stop being so crazy, we'll talk about remarriage. Papers were scattered all over the floor. People around pointed and whispered, gossiping, but I strangely felt an unprecedented sense of relief, like someone who had been burdened with heavy shackles for a long time. Finally relieved of the burden, I bent down, calmly, picking up the divorce agreement from the ground, one by one, carefully folding them, and putting them into my bag. Then, I raised my head, looked at Ethan, and said in a calm and indifferent tone, Ethan, I stopped eating churros 10 years ago. You don't understand the current me at all. After speaking, I turned around and left the restaurant without looking back. I didn't go back to that so-called home. Instead, I went to the suburban villa we bought together in the beginning. There's a huge oak tree in the yard that we planted together when we first moved in. We were dirt poor back then and couldn't afford a large sapling, so we planted a small one. Ethan said that by the time it grows into a towering tree, we will be old. This tree has witnessed our most difficult and loving times. I watched it grow, with lush foliage and vibrant vitality. Then, I made a phone call to John, the old neighbor who lives next door. John, could I borrow your chainsaw? I want to cut down the oak tree in the yard. John was surprised. Cut it down? Ava, you and Ethan planted that together. I remember you used to read books and drink tea under the tree. It was so nice. I don't feel any reluctance, I said calmly. With John's help, the huge oak tree crashed down. Looking at the bare tree stump, I couldn't tell if I felt sadness or relief. Maybe both. I gave a set of bone china tea set that I had treasured for a long time to John's wife, Mary. It was a gift that Ethan specially brought back for me from England when we received a large investment for the first time, and it was quite valuable. Mary liked it very much and thanked her repeatedly. Then, I started cleaning the house. The designer bags, jewelry, and expensive clothes Ethan gave me, I took pictures of them and put them on the second-hand trading platform, marked at an extremely low price. They were quickly snapped up. Looking at the empty cloakroom, I realized that I own so little. There's almost nothing I really want to take with me. I took a hot shower and changed into comfortable clothes. The me in the mirror, although having gone through so many terrible things, is well maintained and looks much younger than my actual age. I picked up a small suitcase that I had packed long ago, containing only a few changes of clothes and necessities. Finally, I put the villa's keys on the shoe cabinet in the entryway. Goodbye, Ethan Miller. Goodbye, my pathetic and ridiculous 20 years. Ethan settled Olivia and her son, and returned home exhausted. He pushed open the door, and it was dark and desolate inside. There were no familiar lights, no sign of his wife. An inexplicable panic and heartache seized him. Ava? He called out tentatively, but there was no response. Just then, Mary from next door knocked on his door. Ethan, you /reback. Mary/S expression was a little complicated, and she held the bone china tea set in her hand. Ava asked me to return this to you. Ethan was stunned. Return it to me? This is. She said the tea set was too precious for her to take away. Mary sighed. Also, Ethan, that oak tree in your yard. Ava chopped it down. Chopped down? That oak tree they planted together? Ethan was struck by lightning. His mind went blank. He stiffly took the cold tea set, his fingers trembling slightly. He finally realized that Ava was serious this time. She wasn't throwing a tantrum. She wasn't waiting for him to coax her. She really didn't want him anymore. He frantically took out his phone and dialed Ava's number. Switched off. He then called Ava's assistant, friends, anyone who might be able to reach her. Nothing. He stumbled into the backyard. In the moonlight, the huge oak tree lay across the lawn, leaving a hideous stump, as if his heart had been hollowed out. No, he murmured to himself, kneeling painfully in front of the stump, his hands clutching the rough bark, his fingernails tearing and bleeding, yet he was completely unaware. The next morning, the workers who were supposed to cut down the tree arrived as agreed. They were startled to see Ethan, who looked gaunt with bloodshot eyes. Mr. Miller, we're here to take care of this tree. Get out. Ethan leaned weakly against the stump, his voice hoarse. Don't touch it. The staff looked at each other, and had no choice but to leave. Ethan, just like that, moved a chair and sat in front of the fallen oak tree for a whole day and another whole night. On the third day, he finally moved. He contacted a friend who worked at a landscaping company. Help me find the best oak tree, at least 10 years old. The bigger the better. I want to transplant it to my yard. The friend on the other end of the phone noticed that he was not in the right state and asked with concern, Ethan, are you okay? Why do you suddenly want to move a tree? Ethan held the phone, his voice terribly hoarse, with a hint of imperceptible choking and despair. Ava, it seems she doesn't want me anymore. The new oak was soon transplanted to its original location. Ethan had a delicate wooden sign made and personally carved a line of words on it with a carving knife. In memory of Ethan Miller and Ava Williams' 20th anniversary together, he hung the wooden sign on the new tree, as if this would preserve the past and make it seem as if nothing had happened. He started calling and texting Ava frantically, but to no avail. He ignored Olivia's countless calls and turned off his phone. He swept the empty yard alone, cleaning up all the fallen leaves. He even consulted a lawyer about Leo's custody. Deep down, he still thought that as long as he handled Olivia's matter well, Ava would come back and even accept Leo. Days passed, but there was no news from Ava. Ethan's paranoia and self-deception finally collapsed completely in the middle of one night. He went crazy and smashed everything he could in the living room. Vases, ornaments, photo frames, a complete mess on the floor. He slapped himself hard, again and again, until his cheeks were swollen and his lips were bleeding. Why, he roared in pain. Just then, the door was opened. Olivia came back with Leo. Seeing the in the house and Ethan's appearance, Olivia was first stunned, then a barely noticeable gloat flashed in her eyes. Ethan, what happened to you? She stepped forward, feigning concern. Is it worth it for that woman? Isn't it good that she's gone? From now on, this family will be just the three of us. Ethan suddenly raised his head, his bloodshot eyes staring intently at Olivia. She's gone? Just right? He repeated the sentence, a raging fire burning in his eyes. You think you can replace her? He suddenly flew into a rage, grabbing Olivia's neck and slamming her against the wall. I'm telling you, Olivia Davis, in this house, there will only ever be one mistress, and that's Ava. What do you think you are? Olivia's face turned purple from being choked, and she struggled desperately. Leo was so scared that he burst into tears. Ethan suddenly let go of her hand, pointed at the door, and roared, Get out! Take your son and get out of here now. Olivia, still in shock, coughed while clutching her neck, looking at Ethan, who was like a different person, her eyes filled with fear and resentment. She didn't dare to say another word, pulled up the crying Leo, and fled in embarrassment from this home she had coveted for so long. Ethan looked at Leo, who was standing there dumbfounded in fear, and felt extremely annoyed. He waved his hand impatiently. Go back to your room. Looking at Leo's little face, which looked so much like his own, he had only one thought in his mind. If this were my and Ava's child, how wonderful that would be. He hired a nanny to take care of Leo's daily life, and then asked a lawyer to handle the custody lawsuit with Olivia. He temporarily handed over the daily affairs of Miller Corp to several trusted shareholders, packed a simple bag, and set off lightly on the road to find Ava. It was only then that he belatedly realized that Ava had left him for a full half-month. An unprecedented panic overwhelmed him like a tide. He was afraid of really losing her forever. Aspen, Colorado. At the foot of the snowy mountains, the sun is shining and the air is fresh. I dodged away in disgust. I'm wearing local traditional clothes and taking a smiling photo with a group of young people from an outdoor club. I have settled down here and bought a cabin with a view of the snow-capped mountains. I even adopted a 5-year-old girl named Annie, who is very clingy and follows me around like a little tail. Life is peaceful and comfortable. Every day I count down the days, waiting for the end of the divorce cooling-off period, to get that certificate symbolizing freedom. That day, I was having ice cream with Annie at the town's cafe when a familiar yet strange figure appeared at the door. He was thinner and much more haggard, but still wearing an expensive custom suit, which was out of place in the town's relaxed atmosphere. He walked straight up to me. I looked at him calmly, gesturing to the empty seat across from me. He sat down, his eyes falling on the colorful ice cream in front of me, and he frowned subconsciously. "How old are you to still be eating this? Do you think you're still a 20-year-old girl?" In his tone, there was that damned, habitual accusation. I took a big spoonful of ice cream, feeling the cold sweetness melting in my mouth. "My body age test actually shows that I am only in my 20s. I responded calmly, even smiling at him. He was choked by me, and his face looked a little unpleasant. "You came to me. Is there something you need?" I put down the spoon and asked directly. Ethan took a deep breath, seemingly trying to organize his words. "Ava, I'm sorry." He looked at me with a complex expression. "About Leo, and the hurtful thing I said. I apologize. It's over." My tone was calm, and you couldn't hear any emotion. "Apologize? If apologies were useful, what would we need the police for? The wound has been inflicted, and the scar will always be there." I took out my phone and made a call. Soon, Annie ran over with her short legs, threw herself into my arms, and sweetly called out, "Mommy Ava." Ethan's pupils suddenly contracted, and he looked at the little girl in my arms in shock. I held Annie and wiped the ice cream stain from the corner of her mouth. "Let me introduce you. This is Annie, my daughter." I took out my phone and showed him the photo of Annie when she was first adopted. The little girl in the photo was thin, timid, and her eyes were full of unease. Now look at this lively, cheerful little girl with clear eyes in my arms. "Ethan, you said I wasn't suitable to have children." I looked at him, using the facts to speak for myself. "Do you still think so now?" Ethan's face turned pale and then white, and he couldn't speak. "Actually, when you told me you didn't want me to suffer the pain of childbirth," I wavered. "Later, I even thought, maybe we should have a child after all." I calmly narrated the past he had ignored. "But at that time, you always found various reasons to refuse." Looking back now, it's probably because Olivia was already pregnant with Leo at that time, right? I looked at his shocked expression and continued, "You think I don't know anything? Do you think Miller Corp's success today is all thanks to you alone? Ethan, you know very well that without me, there would be no Miller Corp today. You were wary of me, afraid that my achievements would overshadow yours, so you kept me confined at home. But you couldn't live without me, without the aura and help that the name Ava Williams brought you. So, you found Olivia," I said with a hint of sarcasm, "a woman who is gentle, dependent on you in every way, and even looks a bit like me, like a daughter, clinging to you. This big tree, you hid her away, secretly raising her, enjoying the blessings of having 2 women, thinking you could deceive the world forever." I stood up and hugged Annie. "Ethan, the game is over. The divorce agreement is in effect. We owe each other nothing. From now on, you are you, and I am me. I wish you and your Olivia, and your children, happiness and bliss." After saying that, I hugged Annie and turned to leave. The sunlight shines on me, warm and cozy. Ethan was still sitting stiffly behind me, like a soulless sculpture. I know my new life has just begun, and his funeral pyre may have just begun, but all of this has nothing to do with me anymore. Or rather, he didn't care at all. He only believes what he wants to believe. It's Ethan. Those who don't know how to cherish don't deserve to have a future.